What is the city doing about skateboarders on city property and along retail property?
Skateboarders have always created some issues in Cleburne for many years. Unfortunately, we don't have a location or a place where skateboarders can go and call their own, per se. So they find all of the available parking lots and sidewalks in areas that are conducive for skateboarding, and those become their popular places to hang out and have some fun. So while we understand that, we also understand that it does create a nuisance, and it also creates some safety issues and hazards for not only the skateboarders but also for pedestrians and owners of property. So about a year ago, the city of Cleburne actually was having some problem on some of our properties. So we enacted an ordinance. We didn't have one up until then. We enacted an ordinance which actually prohibits skateboarding in designated areas, and by designated areas I mean those areas that are paved, such as the parking lot at the conference center. That would be a designated area where skateboarding is prohibited. In order to prohibit the skateboarding, we had to put up signs in the locations around that area that indicate that skateboarding is not allowed, cites the appropriate city ordinance, and lets folks know that they can't skateboard there. And so while the city has the opportunity to do that, so do other business owners, like a large strip center where they have a big parking lot and they want to prohibit skateboarding. They can, using this ordinance, they can go out and put up signs in accordance with the ordinance. The letters have to be a certain height, etc., and you have to cite exactly the criteria for not allowing the skateboarding. And once that's done, then the police department can issue citations to those individuals if they catch them out skateboarding. And that is a Class C misdemeanor, and the fine can be up to $500 for skateboarding in an area that's not designated for skateboarders to be. So that doesn't address private property like residences or things like that. You would have to just exercise your rights as a homeowner to ask those individuals to leave your private premises, and you could actually file trespassing against those individuals if they persist. But I know a lot of the problems occur when somebody calls and reports the skateboarders. By the time the police department can get there, sometimes the skateboarders have long since gone. And so unless you have some way to identify those individuals or otherwise let the police department know exactly who they are and where they live, etc., sometimes it's difficult to enforce. At any rate, we do have an ordinance which helps protect us in those situations, and we can use that when we need to.
About providing a place for skateboarders, a lot of places have found that can be rather risky, because you provide the place, and then when the child gets hurt, then the people who provided the place wind up getting sued.
The question comes up periodically, why can't we have a skateboard park? And you know, it bounces back and forth, and a lot of it has to do with funding. The ability to go out and build a park takes a fairly significant capital because of the concrete and the things involved. And then, as you said, you do get into some liability issues, and sometimes cities determine that it's not in their best interest or within their liability limits to extend that opportunity outward to skateboarders, because it is a very dangerous sport, and somebody can be hurt quite seriously. So there's a variety of issues and concerns, and we also understand that the kids would like to have a place to skateboard, and you know, there could be an appropriate time in the future where the city council does consider those types of things. But in the economy that we're in right now, and with all the other projects going on, I would find it probably difficult to think that we'll be building a skate park anytime soon here. But that's not to say that it won't ever happen. So kids need to be persistent, and they need to contact their council members, have their parents contact council members and make them aware of their desires and their needs and wants. And the council is usually very reactive to those situations. And if those type of things fall into long-range planning, and we can figure out a way to pay for them and address the liability issues, then council may be interested to look at some things like that in the future.
When it comes to traffic lights in Cleburne, how many are controlled by the state? How many are controlled by the city? What should people do with traffic light concerns?
I think an easy thing to think of is the city divided into quadrants almost. We're divided almost in four pieces by Highway 67 passing all the way through Cleburne or Henderson Street, as you will, and North and South Main Streets. Those are the primary state access roads in our community, and so virtually almost every light, traffic signal light in Cleburne is actually controlled by responsibility of TxDOT. So we do get calls periodically about the sequencing and the timing of lights, and I know sometimes when we get significant numbers of calls, we will contact TxDOT and they'll look at those, and they have reprogrammed lights and changed those sequencing lights. They will go in and do that, and I would recommend that if you have concerns about a particular light that you feel free to contact TxDOT yourself even, and or you can contact the city and we'll take a look at it and get that note to TxDOT.
Tell us about the traffic pattern changes coming along US 67.
A significant portion of Highway 67's bypass that was originally a two-lane road that has now been expanded to 4 lanes will actually go into effect the 29th unless something changes this week. And so that does include a number of one-way streets now that used to not be one-way. So you'll have one-way access roads in the direction of flow. You'll have appropriate entrance ramps, exit ramps, identifying where you're at as you're coming around 67. This will occur about a mile west of Highway 4 on 67 and all the way back towards Highway 174. All of that area will open up, which includes all the area out around Applebee's, Home Depot, and that area all the way out just past the Highway 4 exit. That will still leave a significant portion between Highway 4 and the hospital bridge by Lake Pat Cleburne will be under construction, continuing to be under construction, and probably upwards to a year or longer before that part's finished. But the initial part that they've been working on for the last several months will open up on the 29th. Again, encourage folks to pay attention to the signage. Places where you used to turn left, you can't turn left anymore. Places where you maybe used to turn right, you can't turn right. You have to pay attention to where you're at and what's going on with those signs. The police department has been very forgiving up to this point, but unfortunately, because of the large numbers of people continuing to go the opposite direction on a one-way street, the safety issue is a concern, and so we have to begin to issue citations, and I know a large number of citations have been issued in that area over the last week or so. We regret that happens, but the public safety mandates that we have to do something. The police department did give the benefit of the doubt for at least a full week, and they were giving out warning tickets and trying to remind people of the direction of travel, but we're habitual in nature, and so we've always turned left when we came out of Applebee's, so it makes sense that you could do that now, but unfortunately, no, you can't. So, we want people to be very cautious, very safety-minded as they enter into the bypass area around 67, because it is going to have some significant changes. I think changes for the better in the long term, but it's short-term changes that we're just not used to.